The antique postcard had a simple message scrawled in a strong hand. This is to be my future home, Rose. Just those few words, written with a fountain pen in Palmer-style script. The R in Rose is flared and jaunty and young. In the sepia-toned photograph on the front of the postcard, the main road is a dirt strip that intrudes through the landscape like an afterthought. It's our house, our street in the hamlet of Staatsburg, New York, where we have lived for over 40 years. And our house is visible in this picture if you know just where to look. It's easy to imagine a horse and carriage moving along past the clappered church next door. Since the postcard is faded, we rely on village history to guess that it was sent in the late 1800s. The wooden buildings placed haphazardly along the road look like toys, and I wonder if the next time I pick up the postcard, a child will have rearranged the houses and ours will be gone. The cluster of buildings that calls itself a village looks different in the photo on Rose's postcard, of course. Now, one thing, though, is startling. Over 100 years, very few houses have disappeared. We have lost most of the majestic maple trees that once lined the street, but every house in the old photo is still here, well over 100 years later. Oh, some have sophisticated new porches, and some have additions jutting from their original wooden frames, like the splayed limbs of awkward adolescents. And we have diligently painted our homes in soft creams and colonial blues, colors that we think make them look original. But in the honest sepia postcard, we see what Rose would have seen. Houses that were all a tired, fading white, with naked windows that stare back at us like the gaping eyes on a jack-o'-lantern. They're all standing, though, those houses on my street, in that peaceful way old houses have, the way that makes them seem as though they have grown slowly up from under the ground and settled into a comfortable place on the land. Staatsburg, Rose's future home, actually existed as a service community to the many great estates that lined the Hudson River in the Gilded Age. So it is very likely that Rose was an Irish immigrant brought up from New York City to work in one of the mansions. Surely, Rose had a thick brogue and a thin waist and absolutely no experience with country life. And she sent this postcard to let someone know about her new beginnings in a curious village, a place where the man who perched in one spot all day to raise and lower the railroad crossing gate would tip his hat as quickly to Rose as to her mistress. All in all, Rose would have found her future home to be a hamlet with an amazing sense of self, as it still does today. Undoubtedly, Rose scrubbed floors on her hands and knees, slept in a narrow bed on the mansion's third floor, and sent money home to her mother. She used her dancing green eyes to balance the effect of her acerbic Irish wit, and she would, over time, win the hearts of the cook and the butler. From those few words, boldly written across the front of a worn postcard, I can feel Rose yearn, in the way only the young can yearn, for the stolen moments when her dreams would drift on the Hudson, or when her lips would sweep the cheeks of the gardener's son. And I am very sure that just like me, Rose would have turned her heart over to this wistful hamlet in the faded picture on the postcard, where houses and people endure.